Alright, it's time for another episode on the Debian stable, and I've got a special treat for you guys. I've got ICYOS on the air. We are talking CrunchBANG today on Spatry's Cup of Linux. Alright, welcome to Spatry's Cup of Linux. I've got a special treat for all of you out there. I've got ICYOS with me today, and you all know him as being the Puppy Linux guide, the definitive Puppy Linux. Everything you want to know about Puppy is on his channel, but guess what? IC took the plunge, and now he is running the amazing CrunchBANG Linux. And IC, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, good afternoon. Well, it's his afternoon where I am. Spatters, I'm sorry, I don't know what to call you, but I will get used to it.
Call me anything except late for dinner.
Yeah, well, as you know, I've always been interested in Puppy Linux. Absolutely love it to bits and all the derivatives and all the stuff you can do with it. But I just got to the stage now where there's just so many different types of Puppy Linux, and you know, certain software works with certain builds, doesn't work with others, and it's incredibly frustrating for users. So I kind of just started searching around for my ideal Linux operating system, I guess, and it really was between ArchBANG and CrunchBANG, but with CrunchBANG being Debian based and using OpenBox, it put me in a position where I could use all the knowledge that I'd learnt on Puppy straight into CrunchBANG. And then all I've got to do is train myself up a little bit more on Debian, whereas with Arch Linux it was going to be a steep learning curve. And watching your shows, which I have to say have been really successful and pretty cool, I just thought, I'm limited in time sometimes in the week, so I thought I'm going to go with CrunchBANG. So I've kind of gone with CrunchBANG and just absolutely never looked back. It's brilliant.
Now we all know how fast Puppy is because it loads everything into memory and that sort of thing. And if you were to make a comparison between CrunchBANG and Puppy Linux, what would you say the differences are, and how would one benefit the other?
Well, there clearly is a difference in terms of whenever there's any disk operations required. Puppy is just so blindingly fast. You can load it on a 15-year-old machine with Puppy Linux and it opens instant because it's in RAM. And you take that for granted when you're using Puppy, but CrunchBANG isn't far behind. But of course, whenever there's a disk operation required, it's going to be a bit slower. But, you know, I mean, for the quality of the operating system, I can live with that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, now, it's my understanding, because I see you've already changed your logo, you've got the CrunchBANG logo and everything, and that's something I want to share with my viewers, because, as you guys know, I set up a Debian stable on my channel, but you're actually going to be covering tutorials on this, and I wanted to let my subscribers know about your show, because, I mean, you put together some really awesome tutorials. They're short, they're to the point, they give the people the information they want to need, where I tend to draw things out a little bit. I, tend to, nitpick every detail and that sort of thing. But you have magnificent tutorials up, and I've really enjoyed a lot of your shows. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to put out for this.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. Well, actually, it was quite a few of your shows that inspired me, but I think we've both gone down to the same sort of target, but via different roads, if you know what, different avenues. And I think you're a little bit more in depth. I think you're much better on the customization side, and you tend to go into things much more in depth. Whereas I try to look at it purely from a user point of view, rather than an enthusiast point of view. So I'm kind of coming from the guy who loads it up and thinks, right, how do I change my wallpaper? How do I change the icons? Do you know what I mean? So that's what
exactly.
Whereas your stuff is just amazing because you go into stuff in such detail. So for me, your shows are an enthusiast stroke customizer's dream. Whereas I try and go for the plain user more than anything, really. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to be doing a whole ton of stuff on CrunchBANG. But again, it will be kind of focused from the user point of view, because there are so many talented people out there, both in Puppy Linux, in CrunchBANG Linux, and those are the real heroes. I'm just one of the lucky guys who gets to use the fruits of their hard efforts, so to speak. So I just try and do my little bit, just to try and give something back.
Exactly. And another thing that we were discussing earlier is the point that you decided to go with just watching the stable branch, and you're going to be avoiding the testing and the SID. But did you know I've got something I'm going to send you a little bit later you might want to look at, which will allow you to actually download items from testing or SID and be able to run them without unlocking unstable or testing. So you might want to see that article later on. I'll have to send you a copy of that. Well, so do you have any other observations on CrunchBANG?
At the minute, no. I'm not decided on which one copied which, whether Arch copied Crunch or whether Crunch copied Arch. But I have to say, the other reason I've gone for it and love it so much is because it's so minimalist and out of the way. I guess a lot of Linux people can't get their head around that. The beauty of it is I don't have to bother about the interface. I'm more interested in the apps that I'm using, and that's another reason I love the whole CrunchBANG type interface. It's open box. It's so minimalist and just lets you get on with what you want to do.
Exactly, and then you also have the added benefit of all of the application in Debian's repositories. And it is my understanding that Debian has one of the largest repositories out there. And so, I mean, that's an added benefit to you, because now you can try out different apps, or if you already have your favorite apps that you're accustomed to using, you can easily set them up in your system and continue to work as you normally would. All right, well, interesting discussion on this, and to all my viewers, you definitely have to check out ICYOS's show, whether you're looking to use Puppy Linux or whether you're going to get into CrunchBANG. He's going to have a lot of really good material, and I encourage you to check his show out. He has a wonderful program. And he was actually an inspiration to me when I started out my own show. So very good work, and I really appreciate your contribution to the community, IC, and I'd like to thank you for being on my show today.
Yeah, thanks very much, Spatry. I'd like to thank you for your contribution, mate, and wish you all the best and all the future success, because I think your channel's becoming really, really popular, and I think it's all deserved. You put a lot of hard work in. So I listened to the cast that you and Total OS and the other guy from Australia did, and thought it was wonderful. What a great beginning. That's exactly what YouTube's crying out for. So congratulations, especially to yourself and the other guys. And yeah, I hope that's really successful, and I hope it carries on growing for you. And thanks very, very much for the opportunity to have a live chat with you today, buddy.
All right, well, thank you once again. And to my viewers, if you thought this was useful, please comment and subscribe. Google+, Facebook, and Twitter will keep you up to date every time I load another video to YouTube. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.